The title for BLACKPINK's 2025 World Tour has just been revealed yet. Rather than joy, fans are expressing concern. They are voicing worries about financial issues at YG and speculating that the members may be pressured to participate. Doubts about the odd timing have surfaced. Was this tour genuinely organized for BLACKPINK, or is there something YG is hiding from us? On February 5th, a teaser was released teasing a highly awaited BLACKPINK 2025 tour, but fans were left puzzled with no dates or specifics. The unusual timing added to the confusion since the members were still immersed in solo projects, making a group tour unexpected. Additionally, YG hadn't hinted at a comeback, leaving many fans feeling like the announcement was hastily made. To a lot of fans, it seemed rushed, as if YG was struggling and just tossed out the tour news without a solid strategy. One commenter expressed, "It's really soon considering they didn't even provide a proper name for the tour, just calling it the 2025 World Tour." On February 19th, YG finally unveiled the tour itinerary. BLACKPINK would start in Goyang on July 5th and 6th before heading to North America by late July. They would then proceed to Europe, commencing on August 2nd in Paris at Stade de France, concluding with a 3-day finale in Tokyo Dome in January 2026. Additional dates were announced due to high demand. However, despite all this information, fans remained anxious as no comeback had been declared. The entire scenario felt peculiar. Was this merely a reiteration of their last tour with minor alterations? Would they perform new tracks prior to their official release, or was YG gearing up to unveil a surprise during the tour? There was uncertainty about what to anticipate, further amplifying the confusion, especially considering BLACKPINK's contract situation that made headlines in 2023. As their YG agreements were set to conclude in September, everyone was eager to see if they would choose to remain or depart. Fans assumed YG would strive to retain them since they were the company's prominent act, but it was clear the girls desired more autonomy, particularly regarding their music and promotions. Ultimately, they made a surprising yet wise decision. They opted to stay as BLACKPINK while pursuing individual careers. That choice proved beneficial swiftly, as within months, 3 members established their own labels and released solo music at a pace that eclipsed BLACKPINK's group discography. This move caused significant ripples both in South Korea and around the world. By late 2024 and early 2025, solo tracks were being released rapidly. Rosé's solo project debuted in December. Jisoo's Amourage dropped on February 14th. Lisa's Alter Ego followed on February 28th, and Jennie's Ruby emerged on March 7th. Jisoo and Jennie also undertook mini tours, with Lisa and Jennie performing at Coachella in April. It initially appeared that BLACKPINK would ease back into group promotions just in time for summer, since they had renewed their contract with YG for group endeavors, and stirred significant excitement both in Korea and around the world. By late 2024 and early 2025, solo projects were pouring in one after another. Rosé's Rosie made its debut in December, while Jisoo unveiled Amourage on February 14th. Lisa's Alter Ego followed on February 28th, and Jennie's Ruby was released on March 7th. Jisoo and Jennie also embarked on mini tours, with Lisa and Jennie taking the stage at Coachella in April, and it appeared as though things would settle down just in time for the summer. Yet there are elements to the story that many may not know. This wasn't merely a well-orchestrated return linked to their contract renewals. The desire for a reunion came from the members themselves, and as more fans began to pick up on this, the prevailing thought became that YG could be facing serious issues and this tour might be their last effort for redemption. Everyone acknowledges that BLACKPINK is YG's cornerstone, despite the emergence of groups like Treasure and Baby Monster after them. None of these groups have achieved the level of success that BLACKPINK enjoys. So when the members opted not to renew their individual contracts with YG, the company was sure to feel the impact, and they certainly did. In February, it emerged that YG faced a challenging year ahead in 2024, marking the first time it ended the year with an operating loss, all while generating 365.8 billion Korean won, which is approximately $250 million. They also incurred a loss of 23.9 billion Korean won, translating to about $6.4 million in operations, resulting in a net deficit of around 500 million Korean won, equating to over $340,000. Although they had seen a decline in net income previously, like in 2019, this marked their very first recorded operating loss. It was a significant financial setback, highlighting that YG couldn't afford to postpone matters any longer. A quick fix was necessary, and many speculate that fast-tracking BLACKPINK's tour was their strategy to stay afloat. To minimize losses, YG made a daring move at the beginning of 2025 by shutting down their entire acting division. On January 17th, the company declared it would part ways with all actors indicating a complete shift back to music, and in their statement, they expressed gratitude to both the actors and fans for their support. They assured that management would continue until existing contracts were up, but none would be extended. This decision included high-profile names like Leong Jung-kyung, Liu Hyuk, and Sun Aun. Just a few days later, on January 21st, YG attempted to shift the narrative by launching something fresh, the 2025 Y National Audition Tour. The company initiated an extensive talent search across 6 cities, running from February 7th to 23rd, with 7 audition dates overall. It was a clear effort to cultivate new faces, new energy, and potentially a fresh beginning. Rumors also circulated that YG intended to unveil a new boy group this year, although nothing has been officially validated yet. Still, from the closure of an entire division to initiating a nationwide search, it's evident that the company is in desperate need of recovery. Considering everything that has transpired, it's understandable why some believe BLACKPINK was pressured into this group tour. The members have thrived on their own, and many would argue that they are even more prominent solo than they were collectively. This change likely caused investor discomfort, especially with YG already under financial strain. Yet rather than hastily arranging a group release and a brief promotional cycle, YG chose to focus straight on. Each member has been flourishing on their own, and some might even suggest they're more successful solo than they were as a collective. This change likely caused some concern among investors, particularly with YG already facing financial challenges, but instead of hastily releasing a group album and a brief promotion period, YG opted for a different approach. For the substantial revenue, a tour generates significantly more income than album sales, so kicking off a tour first may have been their strategy to quickly stabilize matters. There's also the worry that fans might prioritize purchasing solo albums or merchandise, creating less excitement and funds for the group's return. By making the tour announcement early, even before any details about the comeback, they secure ticket sales and allow for some breathing space. Some speculate this indicates the album wasn't even prepared yet and YG needed additional time to delay, but this approach encourages fans to start saving and spending on the tour first, ensuring upfront income before any other releases occur. What really fueled the notion that this tour wasn't in the cards from the get-go was a blind item revealed during the Oscars. If you're unaware, blind items are essentially gossip leaks that disclose information without naming anyone, but this one had enough hints for fans to piece it together. The timing, the phrasing, everything about it shouted BLACKPINK, intensifying the theory that the tour wasn't part of a long-term strategy but rather hastily assembled behind the scenes. The blind item in question stated, "This foreign-born one-name singer claims she and her fellow group members didn't want to tour this year but were compelled. They are essentially being coerced." Although the blind item didn't explicitly name anyone, it was quite clear that the foreign artist referenced was Lisa, and the story pertained to BLACKPINK's looming tour. This revelation ignited widespread outrage, with many blaming YG Entertainment for intentionally meddling with the members' solo careers to enforce group activities. For example, fans noted that tickets for the tour were released just one day before Lisa's album debut, further fueling suspicions that the company favored the group's return over individual promotions. A commenter stated, "YG is always announcing group events or schedules coinciding with her releases." They scheduled ticket sales for BLACKPINK's World Tour Cinema precisely on the launch of her first solo. Others suggested that YG may be trying to capitalize on the members' solo successes, believing the company urgently requires funds and is pushing the group into more promotions for rapid profits. Conversely, numerous fans brushed off these concerns, arguing that people were simply overanalyzing the situation. They pointed out that Young Hyun-suk spoke of a BLACKPINK world tour as far back as last summer, implying this wasn't a hastily executed strategy by YG, as the tour was likely part of the group's contract negotiations from the onset, not an abrupt pressure tactic. People also argue that the solo project appeared rushed due to the entire timeline being mapped out long ago, over a year and a half in fact. The members themselves revealed in interviews that they aimed to dedicate 1 year to solo endeavors before reuniting, collaborating for group events, but launching their own agencies and focusing on complete albums consumed more time than anticipated. So to stay on schedule, they eventually rolled out their solo endeavors simultaneously, right before the tour was unveiled. Nonetheless, there's an escalating concern that this could potentially mark BLACKPINK's last chapter as a group, despite the members' evident fondness for each other and their desire to collaborate. Their solo pursuits and individual projects appear to be flourishing far better and resonate more with them at this moment. The tour titled Deadline has only intensified these apprehensions, leading fans to speculate this might simply be a method for BLACKPINK to conclude their contract with YG and bid a proper farewell before everyone transitions on. Fans have also noticed a lack of creativity in the tour's promotional material as well as the choice of the name itself, perceiving it as an indication that this tour was hurried and not meticulously crafted, with one user commenting, "Are you kidding me? It took a whole year to produce this bland poster featuring the same design and font as last tours." Not to forget the tour starts in July, yet there's been no formal comeback announcement from the group. Earlier this month, Lisa indicated they had been in the studio of late and were eager to reunite and tour, which prompted fans to speculate about what's ahead. Some believe fresh music might be released either after the tour kicks off or just prior to its start, while others think the tour won't include any new group songs whatsoever. Instead, they expect the performances to predominantly highlight solo numbers from each member, with the final 30 minutes allocated to BLACKPINK's most